Good morning, UPB. Welcome to February. It is February 3rd, 2014. It is a Monday. Wow, what a Super Bowl we had last night. I don't think so. Actually, it was one of the most boring, unexciting Super Bowls I've ever watched. When I think the halftime show is the most entertaining part of the game. Yeah, it was one of those evenings. It was over by the first snap when they snapped it into the end zone. But let's look at the market. We had a volatile week last week. Again, we're respecting this 177 level on the SPY. And if you look a little closer, you see we not only were we respecting, we're kind of consolidating here. Okay, last week we were all over the place. The Federal Reserve and this 177 level has been respected really since the start of November, and then it rocketed higher once we plunged briefly below it when the Federal Reserve announced their first $10 billion worth of taper from their asset inflation scheme from $85 billion to $75 billion. And then this past week from $75 billion to $65 billion. And then, I didn't want to do that, but let's move a little closer. And you see we're respecting the line. Are we going to break below it? We're going to plunge below it. And if we do, I think the 175 level is going to be the point of interest. But I think we're going to move back over to 180 level like we saw briefly after hours last week. Now let's move into earnings. We have earnings reports from a lot of stocks that make big moves post-earnings like Yelp, Shutterfly, Twitter. Twitter's reporting earnings. Disney, which looks like to me is going to move back to new all-time highs. But let's look at, we have Yum Brands after the bell today. I'm not sure I'm going to get into them. There's actually, I think that we have concerns about a new flu over in China that might kind of weigh on shares. And I think that's to explain for some of this weakness that we've seen recently. Stock put in a lower high, has pulled back. You look at Sport at 64. I'm not sure I want to trade this for earnings, but I do know that there's a good chance it's going to see a sharp move to the upside. And I think it'll come back at about this $73 level. The options aren't too expensive, but I'm probably not going to play it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. As an earnings report after the bell, and then before the bell tomorrow, we have Aflac. Aflac is coming up against former support, now resistance. So we'll see if that earnings report before the bell tomorrow can be what sends the stock higher or lower. Baidu, which broke out last year, early last year, back in the start of the year, I was talking about this consolidation. And you look from a 5-year perspective. You go to StockTwits, I was talking about this consolidation, and I said it was going to result in much higher prices. Once we broke out of this, forget about it, just went ballistic to the upside, hitting new all-time highs for Baidu, which split adjusted is over an $1,800 stock, and is pulling back the support here. I think the negative move, actually a lot of it had to do with some of the news out of China. So that negative news, I think, is good for dip buyers here, and that the stock is going to launch to new all-time highs post-earnings. Over $180, the options are expensive. That's a $30 move, so that's almost 20% move, and I think that's something that might be tradable. So I'm looking to get 15% out of the money, which is wild. They're going to expire at the end of the week for the weekly calls on Baidu. For earnings, Buffalo Wild Wings, same kind of thing here. The stock has been in a tremendous upswing since 2009, and you can look, it's kind of flagging here. We spiked to new all-time highs, consolidation. Look at that consolidation. It's almost, I mean, you could take draw a trend line. Let me get the trend line tool. But anyway, you can draw a trend line across almost perfectly. I mean, look at all those candles, just perfectly aligned. And so it's a nice, beautiful wedge here. It's going to break to the upside. And that's for earnings. We have Zillow. Zillow's reporting earnings, same kind of thing here. Look at this. Spike higher at the start of 2013, really the end of 2012. The Abenomics low, I like to call it. Spike, and then you can draw a beautiful wedge here. Break out again. And now we have another wedge, and it looks like we're going to break into triple digits again for Zillow. That's what it looks like to me, post-earnings. Then Wednesday after the bell, we have Pandora, which got upgraded in a beautiful up channel. We have Yelp, which is at support and looks poised to break out to new highs. We have Disney. I love Disney here only because the options are pretty cheap. It's pulled back, consolidated, and I see a move to new all-time highs for Disney. Twitter, that's going to be really the headliner this week. Pull in a little bit, and you can see the action we've seen over the last couple days. Really consolidation from the 56 to the 64, $7 consolidation over 7 days. If that's consolidation at all, pretty wild moves, but nonetheless staying within that range. And so earnings probably going to shoot it out of that range. I'm not going to trade it for earnings because it's going to be A very interesting earnings trade, which means option premiums are going to be very expensive, and I'd rather get them cheap. And I'm not going to be able to do that. Shutterfly looks like it's consolidating here as well for a move higher. Let's go back from a long-term perspective on Shutterfly. And you can see it's well off its highs at $60. So I could see it easily heading up to this $52 level. But again, the options are going to be pretty expensive, so it might not be worth getting into. Just do a couple more here. We have earnings on Thursday. I love this stock here. Before the bell, we have Kellogg. And you can look at the chart from a long-term perspective for Kellogg. To me, again, we're at support here. I think it's going to break up over $60 post-earnings. Great thing about Kellogg is they sell Rice Krispies, stuff like that. So it's not really a growth stock, meaning you're going to get options pretty cheap. So this might be something like getting into the $59 or $60 calls. And then let's just move into some individual ETFs and stocks here for the week. Weight Watchers, a little piece in Barron's this weekend, calling for the stock possibly, I believe, to double over the next couple of years. They're bringing it to 54. There's a lot of shorts in this stock. You can see it's been kind of just bleeding down, broke through the $30 level, and which has acted as, if you go back from a longer-term perspective, I think 20-year or 10-year, there you go. It's acted as support in the past, back in 2004. Again, broke through the support in 2009. So that, from a chart perspective, is bearish. But Barron's saying it's going to double. Well, you can expect the stock to move over $30 a share in the first quarter of 2014. Apple is back over $500. Key support level has held, and you can see just the long-term consolidation. I don't know. To me, Apple still looks like it's going to rocket higher in 2014. And seemingly, nobody thinks, aside from Carl Icahn, who might just tweet every day until it does finally break out. Amazon. This might be a good buy-the-dip opportunity for weekly call options. I could see this back at $400 within the next couple weeks, which means a move back up to 382. We hit support here. I love this for 380. And I'm going to look at some of the call contracts heading in. That's Amazon. Finally, I want to wrap it up with some of my retail stocks I like still. I like FIVE, 5 below. Heavy short interest in the stock. It's down significantly off its all-time highs. It's held here. I look for a short-term move over 40. And the options are pretty cheap here for 5. I also like Big Lots, which has been bleeding lower. Broke through support. I'm still holding the 30 calls in the 2750s. I look for the stock to head over to $28 level soon. And then BTH. BTH double bottom here from the August lows and the January lows. Looks poised for a breakout over the $11 level. The $10 calls are nice and cheap. But UPB here, optionmillionaires.com. If I enter any trades, I'll let you know in the chat room, also via private Twitter. Everyone have a great trading day and a happy February. Let's hope it's more exciting than the Super Bowl last night. All right, goodbye.